Dope ass band. You ever heard this band? Causes to Become?
Oh, KTB?
Yeah, dope. This KTP right here, dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is this you on the guitar?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
It's pretty cool. We had fun. Went to a studio in Farmington to record this.
Oh, nice. So what kind of music would you consider this?
Melodic death metal.
Melodic?
Melodic death metal. You could kind of hear it with those lines in the guitar.
Oh, really?
Sound really melodic. But I don't know, though. It just depends. Because you're into some metal, right? Some heavy metal, but not like...
It's interesting. It's like Screamo. And that was one big thing in high school that I really liked was Screamo.
See, that's weird, though. What was that genre? What's a band?
See, so there were bands. There were a lot of different bands, and it was all underground indie. You know, that was a big part of it. It was like super indie. And then everybody... Just how there's battles with who's more indie and things like that.
Yeah.
There was like, oh, what I listen to is Screamo. No, what I listen to is Screamo. And so actually it was a very moving target for that type of music. So some people would even consider almost like Serge Tankian.
Oh, from System of a Down.
Yeah, almost that would be Screamo. But some of my favorite bands were like Seisha. Have you ever heard of that band?
I don't think so.
Okay, so they were a band for like 2 years in New York.
Seisha.
Seisha. Saetia.
Okay.
And it is some of the most different music that you've ever heard because even the lead singer, it's very hardcore metal and then Screamo. And the lead singer, the way his voice is a true scream, almost like... Smeagol from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, dude.
Really.
Like a golem.
Exactly. Just like that. And his lyrics like make no sense, but they're very well. Even 20 years. This was like 20 years ago, and even when I was in high school, they were kind of an old band and had disbanded. And so then that was, and like bands like Horse the Band and just super underground.
Those guys are sick.
Like, this is not Screamo, this is Screamo.
Yeah.
And so it was always like, even when I was in high school, just those few years.
See, I wouldn't even consider like Horse the Band Screamo, though.
Yeah,
Horse the Band. Because they had such cool-ass keyboard work and shit like that. That was dope.
That's who I liked. And then, oh man, Juliana Theory, which wasn't so much like Screamo, but it was more that indie. And so kind of those bands in so those are the bands that I liked in high school.
Dope. And
yeah.
I mean, they still translate now, right? You'll still once in a while throw it on.
When I listen to Seisha now, it sounds even better now. You're like, wow, how were they so good? And their guitar is to me, sometimes metal you can't really hear the guitar or the drums or anything. But with Seisha, it was just such a unique sound, and the guitar is different, the drums are different, and the guys singing are just so unique, and they work so well together.
Dope.
I've never heard a band like them since then. But it was like a super niche thing, and people be like, "This is who you like? What the hell?"
Yeah.
Because if you listen to it, it really is
kind of out
super out there, you know, like
just
kind of dark, and especially if you don't like drums and guitar, it does have like that very...
Who the fuck doesn't like that?
Extreme.
That's like the essentials of music, some kind of rhythm noise or something. Anyways, what's up, everybody? Niko in the studio.
3.0.
Yeah.
Niko's back.
The third coming, guys.
After the pandemic, we're still here. We're still surviving.
And the pandemic is technically still going on. That's kind of hard to deal with right now.
You know, the thing is that it probably will never go away now. Now that there's something coronavirus, you know what I mean? That's never going to go away. So this is like the new reality of what life is going to be like.
How do you feel that it might be a conspiracy to like push the election a certain way?
Oh, God. We're going to get into it right away.
Right away. We went straight into it. See, this is what's weird is just like, people are already saying like, oh, after the election, coronavirus is going to disappear and stuff like that. Maybe it will. I don't know. But if it is a conspiracy, who is it favoring?
Well, see, in my opinion, it's favoring all the Democrats that are just totally doing a lockdown, like here in New Mexico.
Okay.
And here in New Mexico, we have like 1% positive of the testing rate. So of the people that get tested, 1% are positive. So it's like 70 people a day now, or 130 people a day
getting tested.
Get it a day.
Get it.
Okay. In New Mexico, And so for them to have closed like schools and churches and businesses, it's just totally like an overreach, you know. And so I think that really they are going to start letting kids go back to school, but I think they never should have closed the schools. Like when we were going to school, there was never even like a snow day.
Very rare.
You know, I remember one snow day my entire high school career. Like it was in May of like 2005, so right before I was about to graduate, we got one snow day.
Okay.
And now they've been off since March, like 6 months, and it's gonna start maybe in January again. Like that for a kid who's maybe 5, that's like 10% of their life. You know what I mean? They're like, well, I guess we don't ever have to go to school again. And I think, and now they're opening up community centers where you can go to school online in there. So how is that different than a school?
Okay, because even if it is, you can still make it in a school where it's still kind of separated, I guess, social distancing in a way. But then again, that's the shitty part too, is because schools now are even more packed than ever.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think really we're never going to go back to where there's 0 coronavirus cases. So really we just have to like move forward, realizing, okay, there is going to be this pretty bad disease out there. But at some point, we're pretty much just going to have to bite the bullet and be like, well, herd immunity. Like, I think in the beginning, the last time I was in here, March, you know, we didn't really know what was happening. So
there was
like
nothing going on.
It was like, all right, lock everything down. You know, let's be safe about it, which I think maybe was the right decision at the time. But now it is about pushing the agenda because, for example, they just opened up restaurants, but you know Walmart has been open this whole time. The small businesses are totally restricted, and now they're doing a gated opening. I think that definitely, like, for governors who are Democrats who like government control, this is a good excuse for them to just be like, well, I'm gonna put everybody on lockdown.
Okay.
And continue and push like the liberal agenda, you know. And this just basically people use it for an excuse of whatever, you know. Like, well, we can't have this open because of coronavirus. Well, but this other thing can be open that we agree with, you know. Like BLM can have protests, but then the conservatives, if we do like a pro-America protest, like, oh my God, there's some people are really bad. But then there can be destructive riots happening. It's like, all right, well, they're doing the right thing. So I think that you look at like in South Dakota, Kristi Noem, she has kept South Dakota open 100%. And their schools are open, and that's like one of the best that's responding to the coronavirus.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So even with all the whole pandemic and stuff, they still kind of kept... I mean, they probably still kind of followed some niches, right? Like the social distancing, try to wear a mask.
I'm not sure if they have the mandatory masks there, and I'm sure they do like the 6-foot social distancing, but the schools are still open there.
Okay. That's interesting.
And the businesses, and she like never closed the churches. So she was at the RNC national convention last week, and she's like one of the big people in Republican now because she kept everything open, and then hers is doing the best. The state that's doing one of the best.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And again, you can put it into the sense of like we live in America. It's kind of like just do whatever. You know, try to live your life in the sense that if it happens, it happens in a sense, but. That's what I feel is happening with the left or the liberals is how bad it's getting pushed to like where we like you even said it was kind of freaky. Like I had to wear my mask because I don't want to get arrested.
Yeah, I don't want to go to jail.
Like, see that's a little hard. That sucks.
Where they criminalize it.
I get it if they're like, hey, sir, you make sure to reminder wear your mask. Then that's a little different. But if it turns into like a harassment thing or where they're actually trying to push me into like a corner that I'm not wearing it, then it feels a little more like more shitty. Especially like in certain situations where like. I kind of like to make fun of people that are wearing their mask in their car.
Oh, yeah, driving by themselves?
Yeah, because I don't get it. I'm just like, if it's going to be in your car, you already caught it.
Well, you're supposed to wear it when you're swimming, too.
Really?
Yeah, a mask, like 24/7.
Interesting.
And then anytime you're on public property, and yeah, I guess if you are driving, you are supposed to be wearing a mask. But I think, yeah, definitely, I personally with the mask, it's like, all right, I'll wear one because you have to when you go into a store. But there definitely is like a brand of people that the mask shaming Karens that love to just be like, put on a mask and start. And there have been fights about it, and people getting shot. So I mean, that's definitely something like even America, even 6 months ago, you would never tell somebody like maybe put on a shirt, put on a shirt, but you would never in a public place be like, put on a mask or don't put on a mask. So definitely there has been like an elevation of people policing each other's behavior.
Yeah, because we've seen that a lot too. Is like even in like certain instances where a mom will take her kids to the grocery store and like it's the kid's sick, coughing and everything. It wasn't a problem. Nobody was freaking out. They were like, hey, let's cover up that kid to make sure that they're not spreading the disease. But now it's more of a sense where. Oh man, that's so weird too, because there's a lot of people that say it's a great way to hide a lot of criminals and stuff now. That's like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, once there's masks, the AI doesn't work, and computer vision can't detect you. If you have a mask. So before they were able to in a security camera look at a group of people, and they showed this in China, working in China, but they're able to like look at a group of people and basically pick out the faces and be like, this person is a criminal, and then they would go and get them.
Okay.
So, but now with the mask, it's way harder. So I from what I understand, like bank robberies and stuff like that is up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, see, I would think like some kind of like niche in crime would kind of be rising, but that's only in the aspect too with the whole police brutality thing going up too. It's like, I get the idea that some police are being bad. There are some bad apples all the time, but we kind of do need cops in some niches too. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know there are bad people in the police system, but not all of them are bad. And now that we all categorize them all as bad, who would really want to go help you if you were just like, yeah, you guys all just labeled us bad, and I'm like,
well, actually, in Ferguson and St. Louis, when all those riots and stuff happened, the police did pull out of Ferguson, and there was way more crime. So definitely, I think it is necessary, and it's kind of one of those things like, okay, are there? I've always thought about it like this: are there side effects to antibiotics? For sure. But you would never say like, oh, don't take antibiotics because of the side effects, or medicine. There are going to be some side effects. So like when you have that because police, there's a lot of police, across the nation, and they interact with a lot of people. So there are going to be like in high stress environments, even the most basic, pulling someone over is going to be pretty stressful, for that person and probably for the officer as well. So I forgot where I was going with
that. Just the way that some people don't have they're not going to trust the cops anymore, and that the fact that the cops are like going to stop helping people.
Oh yeah. And so we, that like coronavirus, we've seen so many different things that I would never expect in the United States. And one of them is like, did you see that Chop thing in Seattle, where they basically, took over a few blocks, and then there's no police here.
Yeah.
And basically was like an anarchy and almost a secession from the United States. They're like, no police. And so what happened is that then they would call 911 for an ambulance, and the ambulance would be like, no, we're not going to go through in there. So then it was a huge deal that like, oh, the ambulances won't come over here. It's like, well, if the police aren't safe, then we know we're not safe. So of course we're not going to go over there. So now you're like pulling yourself out, and causing bigger problems. So eventually they did have to just like shut that whole experiment down after like 2 months, and people were killed, and there was like a lot of violent crime there that happened.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world?
And that's like the worst part too, is that like, again, there is the need for protection. There is the need of like having some kind of being able to like cool down some civil unrest and stuff like that. But sometimes it has to be given to somebody that's trained better. That's my whole thing, is like, there's some people that go into the police force that are just literally probably out of high school, that, have been in the football team, that got knocked around a few times and just like have a little niche in there. Now they just
a little chip on their shoulder.
And now they become like, an officer with a gun, but they still have this mentality of being like, oh man, I was the best and I'm still the best. Like, that's not the right kind of attitude to have going into that kind of position, right? It should be more of a moral thing of being able to help anything or anyone in the situation that needs to be.
Well, and that's definitely like individual basis. It's like, okay, this one police officer may have a chip on their shoulder and go into. So then there are policies and procedures, but like what the rioting and then defund the police is all about, like the whole police department and every one of them, and having that ability. So I think we're really seeing like a lot of things that have been settled in America for a long time, for like our parents' entire generation, my generation, your generation, things that are just like coming to where if a police pull out of an area like in Chaz and Chop, you would never hear about that at any time in like the 80s or 90s. There was like the Ted Bundy thing once, or the Bundy in Texas, that house where there was a bunch of people. But there was
Waco, right?
Waco. Yeah. But there was never anything where like a whole city block of people were like, we're not going to be part of the United States. And then that was allowed for a time period, before eventually they did like break it up. So, and that's something that if you would have seen that in like any time before now, it would have been unheard of. You know what I mean? Even like a year ago.
You think it would have been taken care of faster?
I think that it would have just, people's mentality have been like, dude, if we try to block the streets, the cops are going to come and arrest us, period. And so it started off with them blocking the streets. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, they didn't stop us from blocking the streets, so let's take it the next step further. And so, like, I think that the mayor of I think it was Portland, right? Or Seattle. One of the two.
Chaz.
Yeah. The mayor basically allowed it to happen. And so I think previously the politicians would have been a lot stronger and they'd have been like snuffed it out immediately, but they allowed it to get to a much more dangerous level. And same thing happened in the Oñate protest here in Albuquerque, where that person got shot with Stephen Baca and everything like that, because there was a at the same time that all this was happening, there was like a BLM protest in front of the statue, and Mayor Tim Keller told APD not to like prevent them from damaging or destroying the monument. And so they kind of are like allowing it to get ramped up. You know what I mean? Whereas before, any time before a lot of these like movements happened, it would have just been squashed out immediately. You know what I mean? Like, don't cause damage to a statue. What are you talking about? Right. That's ridiculous.
It would have been taken care of in a way where it's just like, all right, we'll get it removed like through city ordinances and stuff like that.
Like, imagine if our grandparents, like, you're going to destroy a monument, don't do that, what the, they would just, it would be unheard of for them. And that was kind of allowed to happen here in Albuquerque. And so someone got shot because of it, you know what I mean? So instead of the police, like, getting in line and kind of de-escalating the whole thing and preventing it from getting to really any type of escalated situation, it would have just been over a lot faster. And that's like what ultimately, if they do that and they have a strong response from the police, people are like, oh, it's too much, too heavy-handed. But then ultimately that probably would prevent, definitely would prevent, like, for example, that shooting. And then in Chaz, eventually it got down to like where they are burning and attacking federal buildings. You know what I mean? So it's just going to constantly like ramp up until they stop it.
Yeah, to prove a point, I guess, in that aspect.
Show of force and everything like that. It's just like, I remember one time we were doing a open mic on at FX, and there were these two people. They started fighting in the street, just kind of, I think it was like two homeless people, and the cops showed up and parked all the middle of Down Central with like 6 police officers. So it was like a total show of force. You know what I mean? Because then you're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, we're not gonna cause any more trouble if there's 6 police officers down the middle of Central with their lights on and flashing and everything like that. So then the problem was just totally de-escalated.
But compared to something like that where it just kind of let it happen,
Right.
like the statue and stuff like
Let
that.
it get escalated, and then it's like, oh no, this someone got shot.
See, and
like,
that,
what do you expect to happen?
yeah, and in that aspect, I kind of feel like you have to kind of bring two sides of both worlds. Like, again, the statue does represent something like not meaningful anymore that we kind of disown. Like, we get that this place was discovered and stuff, but it was discovered in a very hurtful and very tragic way. So if it's going to be removed, we should remove it in a way where, you know, you go through city council, you talk to the right people, everyone talks, and it's professionally removed and put somewhere else. Not in the sense where it's going to be tearing down and what? Are they really literally going to drag it through the streets and praise it? Like, that makes no sense. Like, that shows more of like a shitty attitude. Like, that's not like really, that's more barbaric, and that seems like more something done in, like, you know, the 1800s when we're supposed to be more advanced and trying to accommodate to everyone's situation, everyone's ideas, everyone's different ideology. Like, it makes no sense to me.
Well, it definitely is like an example of mob rule and cancel culture. You know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, we're gonna take down this statue because we don't like it, and it really is a mob rule. So rather than going through the city council or any process, they literally would just take it down. And then after that protest the next day, the mayor pulled it. So he's basically acquiescing to mob rule and the whims of like a couple hundred people, you know what I mean, in the street, rather than going through a city council process, taking votes, you know, going through any type of process, like a due process period. And I think it's really interesting too, New Mexican statues, because like, if you look at Confederate War, you know, generals or heroes or anything like that, okay, that's another country that we defeated, and then they were standing up for slavery. So that is much more like, okay, people can understand. I can understand how that's, you know, much more morally wrong, even if the statue is just, you know, a statue and a remembrance of that time. But you know, here in New Mexico, we have such a unique culture of like the Spanish involvement and coming to New Mexico and then coming to America in even like 1600s, that if they start to erase those statues, then it erases like a totally unique part of United States. You know what I mean? Like the Hispanic part in a lot of it. Because in Louisiana, you have like the French. And then in the East, it's like, you know, English. So this is the one part where it's like Spanish, and especially the historic, and then Catholic as well, Christianity. So I think like because of those reasons, and it definitely is like a conqueror, you know, came scenario, which is a part of the challenge of, you know, the historic statues anyway. But here you have just a very unique part where if this part gets erased, then it has much more of like a monoculture for the entire United States. You know what I mean? And because it's not necessarily as morally wrong as, like, for example, maybe slavery, then I think there is much more cultural reasons to keep it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I get what you're saying, kind of in the sense where it shows, like everywhere else, it shows where England or the European nations kind of brought their culture and their land here, which comes all through the East, all through that side, like all through there. Then you come more this way, and then that's where you see the niche of something else where it almost was established here, and like it almost actually did become its own thing, but just through time and rule and everybody else that came and destroyed it, it just didn't last. And that was pretty much what happened with the Spanish and stuff.
see, because I think Santa Fe has had like 5 countries flown the flag for 5 different countries, like Spain, Mexico, Texas, United States, so 4 or something like that. And so it also has like it's the oldest capital in the United States. So that, of course, is going to have a different history, you know what I mean? And that is one reason why, like, I'm definitely opposed to them taking down the statues, especially in New Mexico. And what's interesting too is, like, I think for a long time here in New Mexico, we were insulated from a lot of like the national things that were going on, you know. But now it really feels like we're in the center of a lot of it. You know what I mean? Because of that reason where, okay, maybe Black Lives Matter isn't so strong here, but there is like a very strong Hispanic population here. You know what I mean? I think we're like the highest percentage of any Hispanic state in the United States. So you know, because of that, we have like a unique history and culture and everything to add to the politics. And now it's starting to where like we're at a national level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even an influence in some sense.
A lot more influence as well, you know, because like you think about how many stars, of course, come from California and you know, like the biggest stars and Hollywood's there. But now we are starting to, you know, for example, we always have had some good examples like Brian Urlacher, you know, he played for UNM and then he's played for the Bears.
Okay.
And is like a Hall of Fame. And then we had Luke Longley, who was like one of 5 that played with Jordan and with the Bulls.
Oh yeah,
and
with that winning team. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you see the Netflix special on that?
Yeah, The Last Dance.
Oh my God,
that was dope too. Like it kind of shows how much of like determination Michael Jordan had with the whole aspect of you kind of have to be an asshole. Like you kind of do, like literally.
And what you know, I always thought. Well, of course, watching it from when we were when it was happening and we were like really young, you just see him as like a god basically, and then in that one, you see kind of how behind the scenes it was, like you were saying, an a-hole, and then an asshole, and then basically how even to this day he could still tell he's like super competitive.
And it doesn't matter because that's kind of what makes him who he is.
Mm-hmm. I've always wondered like why. If you think about it, who would be like more famous and more successful than Michael Jordan for people like in our generation?
Michael Jackson.
Oh, okay. But he's like almost a little bit earlier. But okay, so it's like Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. But Michael Jordan like doesn't do. This is probably the first thing I've seen him do. He doesn't have like a Twitter or a Facebook. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He's not like in pop culture at all, other than this one part.
The documentary.
Yeah, this documentary. And then basically he was like, I'm a basketball player, and then retired. And then, of course, he just still does like the Jordans, and I think still runs that part of Nike. So he's just like crazy rich. But you don't really see him out in like the public eye or like commenting on things. You know what I mean?
Kind of like look who changed that route now. You see Mike Tyson so much now on like he's even going to do a fight.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? I think he's fighting.
Who's he fighting?
Holyfield, right?
Oh.
Right? The Mike Tyson and Holyfield fight, I think it is.
Is that what it is?
But that's crazy to think about, too, is like he had that same mentality where, like, I don't even need to be out there and stuff. Roy Jones Jr., sorry. Upcoming exhibition match with Roy Jones Jr.
Wasn't he going to fight McGregor or something? He's having to do everything. I saw him on Shark Week too.
Yeah, I saw that one too. Yeah, he's coming back though. That's crazy to think about. But that's one of those guys too that I think was in our era of champions and badasses. That's just like, damn, he's totally good at what he does. He's a beast.
Even at how old is he?
55? 5.
Yeah, and he's still like huge and boxing shape.
Dude, yeah, he's ridiculous. Let me see his age. 54.
Oh, 54.
Yeah, he's a beast though. But I think that's just that mentality to be a badass at whatever you were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just whatever.
That was one thing. Like when Kobe passed away, all the tributes to him and the Mamba mentality. That was pretty wild.
A lot of people, people were so that was like, dude, Kobe.
I was more of a Jordan fan. You were kind of like either Jordan or Kobe.
And it was weird too because you saw that generational gap
still
too.
Kobe.
Kobe's a legend. Like there's still a bunch of shots named after him where you're making a nice clean shot. You're just like Kobe, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy to think how influential that was too.
And then it showed his like work ethic and behind the scenes as well. Like, damn, this is pretty wild.
That's weird. And then unfortunately, cancel culture and everybody tries to find some niche to bring up something. Remember how they had like accusations or whatever about the rape charge or whatever? Mm-hmm. So there goes that. Something bad happened and now we have to bring up that. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Like,
Let him live.
Maybe he
Let
did
him
touch
rest in
little.
peace.
Maybe he did touch little kids. It happens. But
It happens.
But he made Thriller. But he made Thriller. I don't know.
Could you dance to that?
No, I mean, if I wanted to learn the dance, yeah. But Michael Jackson is his own beast in himself too.
Oh yeah, so I remember watching that, being kind of young, and you see that, you're like, oh okay, I could do that, or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, that's how you dance. That looks cool. And then just the way he does it, like that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
and his voice too, the way he sings, even, you're like, whoa.
What do you think happened? What do you really think happened with him though? Like his whole transition and stuff. Do you think it was something weird that he did, or was it actually genetics? It just happened over time.
Well, so my grandma has that, whatever the disease is called, where you start to lose your pigmentation.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm starting to get it like right here.
But that's in a sense of like blotches, right?
Well, and my grandma though, it kind of started out a little bit blotchy, but now she's like almost totally white, and white like paint.
Okay.
So I could see him, but yeah, for her it was splotches, and it took her a long time. But yeah, I mean, he did have like plastic surgery to look more like a female old lady kind of. So
the nose job and the cheeks and all that stuff,
and then hair straightening, like long hair. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was him. He just wanted to be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
That's life, though.
It's too bad that he had to like tarnish his legacy like that. Because if he just had the music, you know what I mean, and then it was over, you'd be like, all right, Michael Jackson's the greatest to ever live.
The musician, and freaking, he owned a bunch of shit too. Like he owned,
the Beatles,
all the Beatles music and shit like that. He probably had an idea of something that he wanted to do. Like there had to have been something he wanted to do, and then this happened. Just gone.
Just that much money and everything, and that much fame. Concentrated on you for that long, for your entire life.
I know, right?
That would just be too different, too like detached from reality and everything.
But that brings that whole sense too, the whole child star thing. Do you think that really is what messed him up?
Well, the difference though with Michael Jackson is he was so talented. That even that ABC song, when he's a little kid singing it, you can just tell it's like, this dude is so freaking good.
Right.
So I think it was almost like he was destined to do that because he was so talented at it. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily look at him like as same as a Paris Hilton, where she doesn't have like a talent. He had a serious talent and could dance, and then like was productive, at it as well.
Yeah.
So
got better with the skill and stuff.
Yeah. And even as a child, it wasn't just like child star. It was that he was so talented, even better than anybody else.
Yeah.
So
there's that little myth too, or whatever, that he was a castrato. You heard of that? A castrato is like back in the day choirs for like orchestras and like Christian
mingle.
Yeah, when they're in church and stuff. Yeah, they freaking what they did is they take little boys and like castrate them.
Oh, to keep their voice high?
Yeah, and they said that was kind of done to Michael Jackson.
Maybe I can see that.
In a sense where maybe chemically or something. There was a thing. Who knows?
His voice was really high when he's singing that ABC song.
Even as an adult, though, he even never really changed that tone or anything.
Well, and then he kind of wanted to dress like a woman, too.
You think that was a woman thing?
Because from what I understand, he was like Liza Minnelli's best friend, right? Mm-hmm. And then he like tries to look like her, black hair, white skin, you know what I mean, older lady.
Okay.
So I think definitely he was just trying to basically be Liza Minnelli.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. How long have we been talking and there hasn't even been one joke yet?
I know, right? We've been here for 30 minutes, just chilling.
I had all my material, too.
Really? Are you going to bust out the notepad? Yeah. What do you think about comedy, dude? Is it going to come back? Are we still going to be in a hiatus for a while?
See, what's really interesting is
comedy.
Maybe one out of two things. One of two ways. Because, I don't know, originally I thought, all right, this thing happened with COVID. They shut down all the restaurants. They're going to reopen, and then everything will go back to normal. And then, you know what I mean? Like, they'll just start establishing the open mics, and it'll just kind of start happening again.
Yeah.
But it's now been like 6 months. and restaurants have been going like up and down, and I don't see a lot of people like going out to eat either, and they are, but a lot of times I'll see, not even the patios will be full, or there'll only be like 3 people at a patio for a restaurant to be open. So it seems like maybe that the people aren't going out as much. So that, it's really going to depend on those things about it. You know what I mean? Like how many people are going to willing to go out and see a show. But it seems like a lot of people are doing much more live, more podcasts for sure. And so I think it's kind of just changing a little bit. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it was, but I had somebody told me that they were actually going to open up bars today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not too sure though. We opened restaurants, and so I'm not too sure actually, but if that does happen, we just have to wait for that, open 1 or 2 open mics to start popping up again.
And then I think it will be, there's just the competition. It's like this going to be like this in every business moving forward. But basically, the competition was kind of wiped out by COVID in a lot of ways, you know what I mean? And it's like if a forest fire went through. I think I said this last time I was here, Basically, it's like a forest fire went through and burned up like all the trees and everything. So now it's much more fertile ground, and then there's nothing like in the way. So if a restaurant, like during the lockdown, I was like, man, if a restaurant just opens up and serves, they're going to make a ton of money. You know what I mean? Because it's like people just wanted to go out.
Yeah.
And basically any restaurant now that is open is limited to 25%. And then a lot of people are saying that they maybe can't even make money at 25%, but they'll probably be full at 25%. You know what I mean? So then it's going to be... One thing it was, like, you would go somewhere, and maybe they wouldn't even have that many tables outside, and maybe it wouldn't even be that full, but it would still be a 10 to 20-minute wait, you know what I mean?
Or with 25 to less being there.
Right. And so I think that hopefully it will, because I talked to John Cuellar about this one time, and he was saying that basically when all the breweries first opened up is when that's when they had the open mics to get people in. So then it could be a similar situation now that all the breweries and the restaurants are reopening. So they may need somebody to like bring them in. So then that's what the open mics and the comedy nights do. But it just depends on so many different things,
Depending on how they're going to open, what the capacity is going to be.
And then I'm pretty sure that, okay, so even if the bars are open at 25%, there still could be, and I believe that there is, additional restrictions from the governor on like an open mic or, stand-up comedy. So like performances, anything like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
I know concerts for the biggest part are kind of shut down for quite a while.
And then like, theaters as well. For example, Albuquerque Little Theater, it wasn't ever, I don't think that busy, but I don't think you could have anything in there now, even at the 25%, So then I think C&M has like a venue, but like Isleta is reopening, and I know Santa Ana, they do their comedy there at that huge stage.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would be opening up.
I don't think so, but sure as hell the damn casino's going on full
strong.
The
casino's starting again.
Yeah, they even had to my uncle was actually installing like plexiglass on
between them?
Yeah, just to to help with sneeze guards and stuff. I was like, God damn, that's crazy though. Just to get them out as fast as they can, to try to make sure that they can get money, revenue.
It's probably like every third seat or whatever is open.
I wouldn't doubt it. Or they don't even really follow the restrictions as much as they should.
Mm-hmm. But I think definitely like people are staying home more, so they're watching things kind of online more. That's what I'm doing for sure.
Yeah, just chilling out.
Are you getting more viewers?
Yeah, I've been getting some more people coming on. We reached 328 subscribers.
Oh, nice.
And I think from last time, from yours, I had like 280 or something. So nice. I've been kind of just pushing them out, getting some more following from whatever I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
And then the Twitch thing too, just playing guitar on nice. Twitch. It's just pretty much just trying to stay busy here too.
Mm-hmm.
But I am still working though at the nursing home, and that's been pretty crazy.
Oh, really?
Because that's like the hot spot in everywhere for COVID. So there has been some positive cases. I've been tested at least 9 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you had it yet?
No.
Oh.
And it's crazy to think about it too, because it's just like, what the fuck, man? The government probably has so much of my DNA right now. It's not even funny. They're like, oh, we were kind of missing the 37 DNA strands, but we got it now. We got it now.
They're like, we know what Angel's favorite TV show is now.
Literally, just from fucking sticking shit up my nose.
They're all, we're gonna change it to something else.
Damn.
Next time he gets tested, we're gonna implant something.
You're like, I've been watching fucking.
So is that the one where they stick it up your nose?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's horrible.
Horrible?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You haven't got a test yet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. America. You don't need a test in America.
Well, for what? I haven't been exposed to anybody.
Yeah,
so.
And you kind of can.
Thank goodness. I don't know. I think I've probably had it a couple of times though.
You've had corona. Yeah. It's hit you before.
A couple of times.
There's people that were saying when it first started to come out that they got it when it first came out. It's like,
dude,
they did it.
Like the end of January, I was so sick.
Everybody says that.
No. I have an Instagram video of it too, where I'm like, I hope I don't have coronavirus. And I never get sick, so I got sick. And it was when I was still doing open mics and everything. I'm like, damn, you know what? If there's anybody gonna get a coronavirus, is there anybody somebody in Albuquerque just doing fucking open mics? You know?
Yeah.
Just here you go.
There it is.
So there you go. You're next. So I guarantee that I had it like at the end of January, and then like 3 weeks ago, dude, I just wasn't feeling good. I was like, oh, I have it.
Oh, great. Damn it. We need to go get them tested, everybody. Send in your donations now.
To MuseMe TV.
No, I'm just kidding.
Crowdfund.
I don't know. It is what it is.
These are fictional stories, government.
No, they're not.
This is for entertainment purposes. That's what you need to have on your at the beginning.
Right?
This is for entertainment purposes only.
So you got to tell me your best corona story.
Going to the
bank, right to the bank, to the teller. I was like, hey, can I have my money? And boom, I got corona.
Dude, that's if it's already like 1% of the population. I mean, it's just basically everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really, anytime you go to the grocery store, it's probably there. Anytime, and that's the other thing about it too, is like, think about it. If you get one coronavirus, like virus itself in your system, you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? You probably even develop like an immunity. So it's probably like a certain number of them, and then you get sick.
Okay.
After it overwhelms your immune system. You know what I mean? So after I graduated, I was going to travel the United States, the world, but I went to this place on it's like Passport Travel or whatever. And I got all the vaccines that they had from like across the world. So like a typhoid fever, and like 5 other from across the world. Where it's like, if you go to this part of India, you need this one. Like
you might get this. Fever.
Yeah. So that's my strategy towards the coronavirus for sure. And that's what, like, we definitely at some point going to have to move towards that. It's just be like, all right, people are going to get it, and we just need to get over it, and keep like the most vulnerable quarantined.
So what happens if they invent a vaccine?
Would I take it?
Not if you take it. Just what happens?
What happens then?
Yeah.
Well, then see. So
I know it has to be more civil unrest, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then there's 330 million people in the United States. So first of all, what are you going to do? Vaccinate all of them? Is that the plan?
That's the plan.
Okay, well then how long is that going to take to make 330 million vaccines? And then how long is it going to take to distribute them?
Outsource it to China.
That's what we'll have to do.
Yeah.
That's like, just send them over. So, but still, to vaccinate that number of people,
it'd take a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
It's not going to happen.
Have to like start with phases of who's going to get the vaccine first, and then there probably will be people that don't want to get the vaccine. You know what I mean?
Like my friend Niko here.
And then there are some people that are like, give me the vaccine.
Yeah, see, that's what's so crazy.
I would be, from what I understand, they're already making the vaccine.
Yeah, supposedly CDC is going to release something already.
Yeah, so I could very easily be in the never give it to me, or give it, I'll be first. You know what I mean? I'll test. So probably if it was like a certain amount of money, I would do it.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be first too if it comes out.
Oh, they'll probably will be like, all right.
Healthcare workers.
Frontline workers, you're going to be first. but they may not test it on you first. You know what I mean? Because what if they like
Yeah.
literally the first batch, and then it make you all sick, and be like, oh crap.
Yeah, we fucked up.
so it probably will have to just be like they'll have to start with some people to test it. You know what I mean?
Salud.
Bless you.
He's going
Excuse
crazy
me.
out there. He's got corona. The coronavirus.
Yeah, the sound effects, real life.
Fucking Cardi B, man. She made that thing real.
I've been watching Rhythm and Flow as well.
What is that?
It's on Netflix. It's like The Voice, but for rappers, and then Cardi B's a judge.
Okay, Rhythm and Flows.
Rhythm and Flow, something like that. Yeah, Rhythm and Flows.
I'll have to check it out. That sounds
It's pretty
kinda cool.
interesting. It's like a competition, and she is in pretty much like all the episodes because she's a judge, though.
Oh, okay.
And they're guiding and finding rappers. And some of them you can tell are like talented, but it all sounds the same. And then some of them they're like, "Wow, that one is."
That was really dope.
They're like, "That one is." Pretty
Yeah, it's
good."
kind of like America's Got Talent or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're watching it and like, he's good. Oh, that teaching a dog how to do tricks, that's dope. And then you see these ones are just like, wow, fuck yeah, that's a talent.
Mm-hmm.
That show was crazy too. It was going on, and then Corona hit, and then they had to do literally the whole. Everything was empty. The stage and everything. It was just the judges and the auditioners.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy how they did it, and it didn't last after that
Like
either.
the NBA and all the games where it's like one row of people, and then they'll do a wall of like virtual fans.
Computer screens and shit.
Which at least that part's cool. The virtual fans is cool, but the not real fans is so. It's like a practice game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there would be more people at a regular NBA practice for sure. You know, or even an exhibition game.
So you're thinking they should have just do more virtual stuff, just put more virtual camera, more virtual screens up. So not only you can watch it, but other people that are watching can watch you.
They're doing that.
Yeah.
That is cool. That is cool. I like that part of it.
Because I saw the coolest one right now was from the WWE, the wrestling. They
nice.
literally had like squares like this size all around them. So it looked like there was a bunch
lot
of
of people. There probably
people.
were that many people for sure.
Yeah, see, but that makes it look way more
That is cool.
entertaining.
That is cool. That is
than
cool.
the whole like a big screen
Yeah.
of like 10.
Once
and-
I saw it, it was like 20. And then from what I understand too, at the DNC, when Joe Biden was talking one time, there was like a wall and it only had like 10. And then half of them were empty. So there like weren't people watching.
Oh yeah,
So then he's talking to like a half empty digital screen of like 10 people.
I didn't choose him.
I didn't choose him.
That's so crazy too to think about what's gonna happen. Is like we kind of got stuck with that. Like that decision is kind of what we got stuck with.
Dude. The one thing that I learned from politics for sure is
Back of winners.
back a winner.
Yeah,
No, don't even. It
obviously
doesn't matter.
that's not gonna happen. But
I'm definitely not a Democrat, but a lot of people were very excited about Bernie Sanders. As even this year, you know, and he had a pretty good run in 2016. And then a lot of people were, you know, pretty excited for like Elizabeth Warren or even, you know, Buttigieg or, you know, a lot of other ones. And no one was really excited about Joe Biden at all. And they were like, oh man, this guy's going to lose. But because of everybody else competing, the worst of all the options wins. And then that's why he won.
so it's kind of like one of those like the slowest racer still ends up winning.
Because it wasn't even that they started going after each other, but it was just literally like, oh, this person's in first and this person's in second. We can't have them compete against each other, you know, like Bernie Sanders and let's say Elizabeth Warren. They're both very similar, you know, like socialists.
Yeah.
We can't have them compete against each other. Let's have the third place come up and win. And that's like Joe Biden. And then he wasn't even the third. He was like seventh. And then fourth. And then third. And then he was like the nominee after that.
That's crazy. They kind of got put into that spot.
So
It's gonna be a crazy time, dude. Unless aliens come and
save us.
do something, dude.
Save us, aliens.
Oh man, I don't even think they would want to save us. They just want to come see what's going on. They're just like, hey, fuck yeah, live,
He's like,
live,
who's going to win?
live on Earth today.
Well, it's also what's interesting too is they're saying, I've heard a lot of this, that possibly we're not even, in the past, like even in 2016, we like know who won that night. And you see all the people crying and stuff like that. They're saying they might not even know for like a month or two after the election day who the winner is between Trump and Joe Biden.
Oh, shit.
And then what a lot of people are predicting is that Trump was going to win on election night because, more conservatives will vote in person, and just a lot. He probably will have like the most number of people voting for him, but mostly because, a lot of conservatives vote in person. So then they'll have it that day and then they'll count it. But then there's going to be a mail-in, and that'll take like a week. So a lot of people are saying that Trump could win like the popular vote in that election night, and then a week later, Joe Biden would be named the winner from all the mail-in votes being counted.
Yeah, and that's going to cause controversy in itself.
That'll be literally, at that point, it's not even going to be whether this is a civil war or not. It's just going to be like, all right, civil war. Because, and then they're actually saying too that that's one scenario, but a likely one too is that, okay, they don't know for 2 months. But what happens is, from what I understand, in the Constitution, that if they don't have a winner, a direct winner, by like January, by the time someone is normally sworn in, then the third in power of like the United States,
the Speaker of the House,
Nancy Pelosi would become the president.
Until they rectified everything, or just she would become the president?
I wasn't sure on that part, actually, but. Either way, but then, so say it's like, or she picks, something like that. But basically, right after January, she becomes the one to either pick or goes into power. So, I mean, these are like three major ways of some just serious, like, political strife for sure.
And how do you think other countries are looking at this? Like, are they looking at it as a way like, oh, this is going to be a great way for us to finally influence in a certain way? Are we finally going to be able to do certain things? Like, I feel like maybe it's not time, but somebody is going to start wanting to shift in power, or some kind of like, something happened that they know that, oh, America isn't as strong as it used to be. We may have the resources and we may have the military gains, but do we have the right leader and stuff to really combat something big?
So what's super interesting about that is definitely China and Russia. So it's basically like Russia and let's say President Donald Trump, and then China, and basically the Democratic Party. And so China, what they have done, and this is like well documented.
Yeah.
And the Chinese, it's not like America where we barely, even 4 years for president seems like a long time. They plan out for like thousands of years. And they're like, all right, this is what we know we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna do it, and things like that. That's how advanced the Chinese are. They've instituted all these like at all the universities out of there's like a couple hundred universities in the United States that have like Chinese cultural institutes, and basically it's like paid for by the Chinese government to directly influence academia and like to be pro-China basically. So and whereas you have like Russia doing the technology. For example, they say, hacking and things like that in 2016, which is super interesting about that is that they let's say you do believe in the Russian interference, right? In 2016, like they helped Donald Trump to get elected through these troll farms and things. They're saying that it was basically like $100,000 that they spent, and then like 20 people in one building to make all that happen. So I don't think it would really be that weak when there's like billions of dollars being spent, what I mean, in America. So I think that they really did discover that was like very effective way to, do the political process for sure. But so it's definitely like Russia and technology one way, and then China and, the Democrat Party another way. And it's just like a constant battle between the two sides, and it definitely is coming to a head in November, like between Donald Trump and then between Joe Biden. And I think that there's definitely some like forces that have never kind of been aligned in such a way as in like 2020. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
every year is important, but this one we have like a president seeking re-election.
We have a pandemic that kind of was started in another country that could have just influenced the way that the whole world reacts to it now.
And then with a huge like recession and basically like globalism, hundreds of years of progress, you know, like economic progress and globalization and increased trade and increased technology, that's just like all stopped. And now it's like, all right, kind of like if flying a plane and then it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shut the engine off. You're like, all right, well, we're floating down now, you know, so.
I don't know, man. It's weird times. I have no idea. Why are you calling me right now?
A call-in show.
Oh, man. No.
That's probably the Chinese, bro.
They're just like, we hear what's going on.
They're like, you stop it right now.
But wouldn't they want that kind of propaganda? That like we want our message to be sent out there, even though they're like these guys are just blabbering on about Chinese propaganda. They're just like, at least somebody's talking about China. Don't they just want to be talked about?
They don't want to be talked about.
Why wouldn't they not want to be talked about?
Because they'd rather just pull the strings and nobody know.
But once it's done and over with, we'll all be Chinese and we'll be good. Like, it's just going to happen.
What do you mean?
Just kidding. But
okay.
The whole Chinese thing, I think, is going to happen in a way where...
What?
We hopefully...
What whole Chinese thing?
But we got to fight it, dude.
Exactly.
The Chinese are coming. They have robots.
See, bro, it's also on a political level. The Chinese are coming. They are, because they're investing in the United States through these like college campuses to get their message out there to make people super sympathetic to them.
And not only that either, they're also influencing different parts of the world too, like getting their own shipping docks and shit like that in other parts of the world. Like just having like loans. I know one of the things is they're giving out a bunch of loans to like Africa and stuff, South Africa.
Well, and then they'll build the rail.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we'll help you build the mine. Okay, now ship your ore through our rail system to our port.
Yeah.
So, and then they'll like own all that and invest in it and built it. So.
China, dude.
China.
I'm just scared.
Shout out.
I'm scared.
Yeah, should we join them?
I'm scared of China, dude.
China. We could have a plug for China right now if they sponsored us.
So what would be the case if China, if our money system if our money system fails? Do you feel that the dollar will always be backed up by something? Is it always going to be the powerhouse in this fight?
Oh, goodness. So
that's one thing I feel like, especially with the way that these stimulus packages and stuff like that, doesn't that just give more inflation and cause our dollar to lose more of its value?
From what I understand, the gross national debt just like increased to be more than the GDP for the whole country. So we owe more than like we make in a whole year. And then basically they are having to do the stimuluses, checks. So like $1,200 per person. And then they did the increased unemployment. So they're adding like trillions of dollars and just printing it. But the resources that are here, we do make things in America and there are farms in America, but a lot of it did come from China. So now there's a less, number of, let's say like tomatoes even out there, but there's more money out there. So definitely like, we're going to start to see, and you're even starting to see this a lot, real estate go up, and then even like food prices are going up significantly because of like all those factors. So there's going to be definitely like winners and losers. And in some ways, China does lose because they own like a lot of our debt. And then basically we're in super hyperinflating the dollar. So all of the assets in America, like if you own a house, instead of it being worth, let's say 100,000, in the future it'll be worth like $1 million, just because there's so much more money being out there printed. So then we'll be able to pay back China that here's your $10,000 when it was only 10%. You know what I mean? What it was when we borrowed it.
Yeah.
So there's like so many different.
So do you think that America just made a great enough system that it can just borrow and trade enough that it always stays on top?
What I think that in COVID, everything kind of, shut down.
Yeah, but you don't see it in the stock market because I've invested in it, and you see certain things and aspects that are just like, wow, why is this going up higher than other things? Recently, like Apple and Tesla did this stock split where people are freaking out, and like,
well, and then like for example, Barrick gold is going up because people are believing in gold more, and the stock market does. That is because people are printing a lot of money. So it's like, well, if you're rich, all right, let's put the money in the stock market. So that is going up. They just hit like historic highs last week. While the average everyday person is they're having to do like eviction moratoriums. So the stock market is becoming even more detached from like the real economy. So definitely I think that like these are the challenges that are gonna continue to happen. Is like probably the stock market may continue to go up, but then also there will probably be more and more poor people. So then you'll have to just like pay the poor people money to live basically from the government. And then the stock market will keep going up. You know what I mean? So it's just going to kind of like, so if you're rich, you're like doing all good. If you're poor though, you're kind of getting poorer. And it's a lot like that in the same with the country. So like, okay, America, let's say we're rich, but when everything shut down, we still have like a lot of farms and still a lot of manufacturing here in America. And we have an incredible amount of resources, you know what I mean? But like if the Democrats, if the socialists win, for example, in the Green New Deal, and we restrict to like solar panels and net zero versus like exploiting the coal and natural gas that we have in America in a super efficient and low cost way, then it's going to really like affect us more. You know what I mean? So it just really depends on the way that like if America kind of sticks to its principles. And I think that is one big thing too about the whole COVID. It's like, all right, this generation is going to learn why like in the Great Depression they saved the bacon grease and things like that. Like how it was, and tin cans and how it was back then is like, all right, now it's about to come full circle. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's probably, if that's the case, it's going to be a little bit worse because back then, our grandparents and stuff kind of knew the aspect of saving and stuff. When this did hit, because they try to relate the same thing to like after World War II, right? The Great Depression and stuff. With that sense, though, those people saved money. Those people had savings to deal with this kind of stuff. Our generation now, dude, lives check by check.
Well,
every fucking week. So how is that going to save them in a sense where we need more money from the government. We need more assets from the government. When in hindsight, you should have just been saving and had all of these resources ready to go when something like this does hit. You can't,
for sure.
Can't blame the government on the sense that you weren't ready for something like this either.
Well, and definitely, like you look back at the Great Depression, and I mean, even like a nickel, you're that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, save, and then they could buy, even in the 50s, like a nickel was literally what you paid for ice cream, So I think that we're just not the same generation.
No, well, it's gonna be way more of a whiplash. You know what I mean? Like back then, it was and they did live off the land more, and there wasn't the Dust Bowl at the same time as the Great Depression, so it was challenging for them for sure.
Okay.
And in like a different way. Whereas, this one, though, like, for example, I heard this statistic, and this was even like a month ago I heard it, but basically, like, in July, 1/3 of all, like, mortgage payments or rent payments were either late or, like, a partial payment. And 1/3, like, across the nation. And so, basically, it's going to be a huge, like, everybody is going to be hitting a brick wall at the same time. And so, back then, it was like, all right, well, we don't have any money. We still don't have any money, for example. Now this is going to be much more of a whiplash. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, all right, up, and then it's going to be like, whoosh, whip down. You know what I mean? And it's going to be, all right, you're going to find out how much, for example, food was grown in Brazil and brought to America. You know what I mean? How much things were manufactured in China and were brought to America. You know what I mean? That we just took for granted. And that... So now, for example, like I remember I bought a 3D printer off of eBay a few years ago, and it's just like direct shipped from China, and now they have all the seeds, come in here,
Yeah.
the seed packets and everything. So I guess there is still some international trade, but it's definitely like way less than it used to be.
Well, I don't get how that works either, too, because I still order a lot of stuff from Amazon, but on the packaging and stuff it says made in China. So obviously they're still getting that kind of shipment stuff from there.
What I'd be curious about too is like maybe that was in America when the lockdown happened, and then there still must be some stuff coming from China, but it's way less from what I would understand.
And that's a different thing, too. Like Amazon as a tech company is worldwide, right? You can get Amazon in Canada, right? You can get Amazon in Mexico and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like that everywhere. Obviously, China's not fucking with that market because they're not dealing with the same things that are happening here in America. They're not like, well, we do have COVID in Canada and stuff, but we still need our shipments coming from China. So they still are doing their things. And even before this, we were having that problem with the tariff war and shit like that, trying to get more out of the trade. So that kind of made it probably a little bit worse, but in a sense, still trying to trade with China. And now I still think, I don't know. See, that's another thing, too. I think we kind of do have an advantage, too, because of our tech companies and stuff like that. Like, obviously, we have Apple and Amazon and Tesla and all these companies and stuff that are working with the Chinese government, but yet that's why they're just like, oh, we kind of can make a lot more money with American-based companies, and that's our little niche. I'm not too sure. That's how I've always thought, like, we have a little upper hand in the world economy as well, too.
Well, from what I understand, too, like the Apple iPhone, and on the back of it, it is, the whole thing says, like, made in China, but it says designed in Cupertino. And so, yeah, that is like what America provides in the whole thing is like the very top part, the design, how it looks. And then we're like, all right, send the manufacturing off to China and have them manufacture it. But see, now a lot of that is broken, where it's like, all right, now we're going to have to basically manufacture it also here in America as well. So it's having to like totally redefine a lot of different aspects. And they're like, well, just how this coronavirus came from China, we don't want all of our medication made in China. We want it all made in America. But one thing that's going to do is totally drive the price up,
Yeah.
Really, it's going to be like your prescription is going to be 3 times more expensive than it was.
Yeah, really.
Because it's made in America, like more expensive jobs, better restrictions, everything. So.
But is that going to be the same sense as if we start to advance more? So say we do advance more and start making our own factories and stuff like that. Are we just kind of going into the same hole as China, as like being a pollution, overpopulating, kind of destroying the land? Or is that kind of what we need to do to survive?
I think it's always for sure like you need to balance both. You know what I mean? Like of course, you don't want to pollute everywhere and become like China, which it does have very few environmental restrictions. But part of the Green New Deal is like we want net zero carbon output. So by reducing it, by optimizing like for zero pollution, it's going to make things so much more difficult because rather than having a car, you're going to have to take a bike. You know what I mean? Rather than having like lights on and stuff, you're just not going to have any electricity or like for a third of the day, And so I think that definitely it is always a balance, but I think right now for sure we should just be like doing coal and natural gas and just burning it and as cheap as possible until like things do get better in like 5 years, 10 years.
So still going with what we know, but gradually improving into solar, wind, battery power, stuff like that.
And then just totally going back to like what has worked for 120 years, you know what I mean, which is like fossil fuels, and which the facilities have been built. It's more reliable. It's super cheap, you know what I mean, as long as the legislation doesn't make it more expensive. And just like make electricity as inexpensive, because then private industry and like homeowners will find like better uses for it, you know what I mean, and use it more because it's cheaper. So it's like, all right, well, maybe if it's electricity is cheap enough, maybe rather than 2 lights you have 4 lights, for example, you know what I mean, and that's like brighter, for example.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, right now we should, whereas if it was more expensive, say it was like twice as much, maybe we don't have any lights or 1 light, you know what I mean? And so definitely should just be like optimizing to get things going 100% back to business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're still doing what we need to get it done, but slowly, gradually trying to find ways to improve it.
Because they're trying to do in New Mexico, they passed like this mini Green New Deal where they're trying to get rid of all the carbon by 2040, and it's like impossible to do basically.
Yeah.
So, and very expensive, and it's like, why would we, which were like one of the poorest states, invest so much to like help the globe? You know what I mean?
It would have to be some kind of like really big like invention or something to do it that fast.
Well, and definitely too, like the solar panels, it takes a large number of glass and all that has emissions. So there is a payback period to where you could have just used that electricity for what you wanted in the first place. And so those, it takes like, 5-10 years to get back the energy from a solar panel that you put into it. So it's like, all right, well, let's wait till the technology on that gets much better to where it's maybe like a year or 6 months, and then after that you get free energy basically. But not while it's so long, let the technology keep improving.
Yeah.
Before we make a huge investment in that.
Yeah, like jump the gun for something that takes a little bit longer to initially get a good investment out of.
And right now gas is so cheap, it's like $1.65 at Costco sometimes. It's like $1.35.
They're trying to get it all cleaned out, dude. It's all done.
Burn it.
Well,
go on a road trip.
Is it too just because of the economy, like everybody not driving and stuff like that? That's why it's cheaper.
Yeah, low demand, and then they just have been like pumping a lot of it, so there's just a lot of supply.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man. Politics, dude.
Just fascinating, and then it's all getting heated up now.
Yeah, it's gonna be
till November.
Touchy November, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens. If you're not registered to vote, make sure to go register to vote.
Who are you gonna vote for on Hell?
I'm probably gonna vote for myself. I'm just gonna write it in.
On Hell for president.
Just literally write it
Pull
in.
Pull a Kanye.
I'm just gonna make sure everybody knows before the election that you can vote for me. But I won't be on there. You'll have to do it yourself.
On Hell, I'll be your campaign manager.
There you go, dude. We'll start off small. We'll start off with 300, go to 1 million. Start off small. But I don't know. See, I think, again, too, after a while, we kind of need to evolve in our way our politics work, too. Like, we don't need one guy up there. We need a council of people. We need a wise council up there. We need some Babylon 5 shit going on.
Up where?
Up in making these decisions.
Which one, though? At like the federal level, Washington, or like New Mexico,
like
Santa Fe.
There shouldn't be a president.
Oh God!
There should be
an oligarchy,
a council of wise people.
But you do need to have somebody to take the action. 5
people.
Okay, but then who's going to be like the speaker? They're at least going to have a speaker.
Yeah, I guess there can be a representative, but there's still a 5-person system to vote. I'm basing it off of like a cartoon, but that the cartoons work sometimes, man. That's just the way it does. I see you shaking your head, but
5 people, like 5 kings, for example, put in for life, or like voted in and out.
No, not 5 kings.
Oh, okay.
Okay, think of it as more of like
the Supreme Court.
Kind of.
Lifetime appointment.
Not lifetime, though.
Oh, okay.
I still think you can vote them in and out.
Oh, okay.
But
every few years?
Not even every few years, just after every vote that they do.
See, I'm the opposite on Hell.
You're like one king.
I think there should be one
king.
Because the quote that I live by, this is maybe not the best quote, but...
Here we go, guys.
Here we go. From Niko. It's Napoleon, right?
Okay. The shortest guy in the war.
Yeah.
Okay.
Le Petit. And his quote is that it's better to have 1 bad general than 2 good generals.
Because? What was the moral behind that?
Basically, like when you get 2 people, it's going to take, and let's say in war, for example, that it's going to take the 2. So say 1 person is the leader of, Army A, and then there's 2 people leader of Army B, and the first one attacks, then it's going to take Army B, if they have 2 people, a lot longer to like respond, and they're going to take more time to deliberate,
make the decision,
and then they're going to be like, then eventually they're not going to agree probably on what to do.
That's why you always get an odd number.
Oh, to break the tie.
Yeah.
See, but you know what though?
You're still like, but they still have
By
to
that
talk.
logic, it makes it more. But in my experience too, like, and that's why I'm personally conservative, because I feel like and this is enough from another author. I don't remember who it is.
Okay.
I don't remember this one.
Here we go.
Yeah.
This might even just be a Niko quote.
Oh, it's unattributed. Oh, you forgot it after hyping it up.
Put it on the spot.
Shoot. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, I forgot. After hyping it up. My bad.
That's cool. I just feel like there should be more decisions being able to be made as a scientific and humanitarian kind of way. Mm-hmm. Like, just to be able, like, in hindsight, we all are one. We all are united. We are this.
Oh God!
We are this alien race together.
This alien race together.
Yeah, dude, we're all the same. We all.
On hell, I'm gonna. That. Who do you like for president on hell?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
That would be.
Is he running?
I wish.
Oh.
If he was, I think
you'd support him.
I would support him.
Did you like Yang?
Nah. Well,
are you a Yang fan?
The fact that we're gonna get money, maybe, but we ended up
1,000?
getting money. We ended up getting money anyway.
Trump's like, look at how many people like this idea. I'm gonna steal it.
And
then Trump
worked.
put his signature on the $1,200 checks.
Yeah.
That was like a huge thing. Is you can't put your signatures. So he held it up for like a couple of days until they put his signature on the checks.
Damn,
dude, that's a flex. Like, I'm gonna send every person in the United States $1,200, and I'm gonna sign the check. Think about how many
He has
and this is why he's gonna win the re-election. You know what I mean? Because think about how many people are gonna vote for him, just being like, oh yeah, Donald Trump sent me a check for $1,200 twice.
I think he's probably gonna win because of popular vote. Like, nobody wants. There's not a lot of people that want Biden to win. Like, it's sad to say that, but and if you're voting for Biden just because you're like, oh, it has to be somebody from the Democratic side, I think that might just be a wrong vote. Like, it wouldn't be for the exact values and morals and the things you're looking for.
But that's how Democrats think, bro. They're like, this is our party, and we're not gonna deviate from it. And that's the whole group think. Oh, I remember the quote. Fine, thank goodness. I better say it before I forget it. Madness is the exception in individuals, but the rule in groups. And so that's why, Joe Biden, who is like I was saying earlier, the worst of all these different candidates, rose to the top. And that's what the Democratic Party is on a huge scale. You know what I mean? Is it's like, all right, we're all going to come together in a group think, and we're going to unite behind one person, and then we're not going to, for example, challenge what he says or, talk bad about him. Whereas, in the Republicans or conservatives and much more individual thinkers, and that's personally why I'm going to criticize you if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why America should be more of a dictatorship. And this also comes from Thucydides, the history of the Peloponnesian War. He said democracies are slower to start wars, but then they're slower to get out of them as well. So basically, if you have a dictator, he may start a war, but at least maybe it'll be over faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, look at the Iraq War.
Took longer to get into process, and now it takes longer to get it out.
Yeah. And then you have more people deliberating. And then that's the other thing, too, that we're seeing at the lockdown is she locked everything down, in March. And she's like, all right.
Indecisive of what should open, how it should open, who's going to open,
dude,
what.
And so she's literally whereas before everything was open, you know what I mean? And she couldn't put any restriction on it. Now, the more that she releases, the more she realizes, how much there is to constrict, you know what I mean? Because she can be like, okay, now I'm going to open you up at 25%. So that's already restricting everything that much. She's like, okay, I'll open you up at 35%. And so basically she just is totally, and then she's like, okay, now I'll open salons. So she's like, the only freedom that is allowed is what she's allowed. So then that's not, you know what I mean? Then there's like no real freedom. Like you can't just walk into a store. For example, now only essential businesses are open, right? So what if you wanted to open a store like the Comedy Store or
just like a
yo-yo store?
Yeah, cards.
You know what I mean? And if you have the people that would like pay for it, then you should have it open. You know what I mean? Whereas she'll be like, oh, well, card stores can open this month. And then next month, yo-yo stores can open. And then the next month, full magic stores can open. And then at 25%. And then at 35%. She's like making it infinitely more complex. Whereas it was, you know what I mean? Just totally everything was free. It's like, all right, you can go into this store if it sells yogurt, whatever. You know? So I think definitely these are some of the issues. What time is it on now?
It's already 7 o'clock. We've been here for an hour and 20 minutes. That's your bling, bro. Right. That's your.
I have to come dressed up, bro.
That's your.
Got a fresh haircut.
Culture to Native American, right there.
Just a shout out.
That's dope. Ting.
Is it getting on the camera?
What are you gonna? Are you still planning on going for your doctorate, right?
Yeah, down in Socorro.
Dope. Mm-hmm. That's cool. I've always been impressed with your whole work ethic and your education-wise.
Dedication to knowledge and the truth.
Master in, what is it again? Engineering?
Mining.
Mining engineering. Mm-hmm. And you're going to try to get your doctorate in what?
Probably like earth science.
Earth science?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So I could be a doctor.
Damn hippies.
Of the earth.
Great.
Seriously.
You hear that, people?
I'll be like, well, let's leave politics out of this.
Let's leave politics out of this and let's heal Mother Earth.
I will have to be like, my study is now I need to study climate change.
Oh, man.
I won't be like, this is very real. This is so real. I need to study this thing. So.
That's dope.
Yeah. But I like Socorro because it's like a little more small town, and everything's shut down everywhere anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to kind of move back to Socorro. It's a little more, my style, my vibe.
So you're going to move there?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to finish it off there? It's probably, how long you think, 3 years?
It. Usually, some people get it done like 2, but 4, it just depends.
Depends on how dedicated Niko is going to be.
I want to start like a research group out there for 3D printing.
Okay.
For like COVID.
That's dope. Something going on.
So like COVID mitigation, because there's going to be all kinds of inventions and different masks and stuff and different technologies. So I'm going to start like a research group doing that.
Nice.
Dennis Squirrel.
You hear that, folks? Now you know where they can find you. You have a name for this?
The safety. It possibly the COVID Conquerors.
The COVID Conquerors.
Down in Socorro. You know what I mean?
The CC.
CC.
Yeah.
It'd be like a little germ. The logo would be like a little COVID thing. And then the MuseMe kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
With a jousting.
There you go, right?
Spear. COVID Conquerors, and talking about the statues, it's like perfect, the culture.
COVID Conquistador.
Yeah. I thought about that too, but it's like, we don't want to just be the Spanish version. We want to be the full.
For everybody.
For everybody, you know what I mean?
You can use this in Russia. You can use this mask in Russia.
See, so I got to take it a little easier on the whole politics thing. Now it's like, no, it's all good.
Earth is in.
Earth is in, people.
That's dope, man.
Earth and safety and masks and PPE for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Just switching it up. You know me. I just have to dabble and
get everything in.
Everything,
Well, hopefully the comedy thing starts to boom back up, man. Because I've been itching. We need to go back on do some stuff.
See, I've been trying to flex. Everybody does their thing. You've been doing the podcast, so I've been trying to get a little political humor in there. Because that, to me, everybody has their niche. You know what I mean? Like one thing I like about Kat, she can sing songs that are funny.
Yeah.
And normally I'm not a huge song person, but I like it when she does. I like it live, Live is always better.
Right. Or the karaoke nights.
Yeah.
Niko's ready to sing Wonderwall.
Wonderwall. And then I started stealing I started stealing all Bear songs.
Was it Whiskey Tennessee?
Dude, I listen to that song like every day on my computer. Really? I wake up and I go to YouTube and it's there and I'm like,
might as well listen to it today. Start the day off.
Whiskey. And then I'm on fire. He sang that song.
Oh, shit.
I love this song.
Dope.
And then he started singing a lot of like Post Malone. You know that song that was like popular in March. It kind of just came out. Yeah.
Congratulations, but I think I know what you're talking about.
So he's all pushing the Post Malone.
Dope.
And so yeah, I would just be like, Barrett, this is my new song, and I would start singing his song.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was a lot of good like classics. You know what I mean? Tennessee Whiskey for sure. That was a good one.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, hopefully shit starts getting going, man. I can't wait.
I think it's gonna just be so slow because like the governor's gonna be okay. Now I'm gonna open up this. Now I'm gonna open up this.
I'm
gonna open up this.
Might just take a trip to Texas, bro. Arizona.
Where there's freedom.
Arizona, bro. It's going down in Arizona. Comedy night.
Is it like open?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people throwing some shows down there. So people are going that way.
Oh, nice.
They're going to Denver's doing some shows too.
Oh, Denver?
Yeah. So
yeah. How's your comedy career coming? On hell.
Well, it's on hold right now until I can find a place to do it.
All right.
So we'll see what happens.
I tried to do it like, I don't know. Well, at least restaurants are open now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They weren't even open. So I thought about doing it in the park, but I don't know, with like the PA system, any type of PA system, you already have to have like the electricity, and they may not even have it there.
Yeah.
So I was like, started thinking about, oh crap, I don't know, that's kind of a lot.
So yeah, we'll find it. It'll come. We just gotta wait.
If there's any bar owners in Albuquerque
hearing this, let us know. Type in MuseMe TV and find me anywhere. MuseMe TV. Do you have any plugs or anything you want to throw down? Anywhere you want them to find you? Anything? Any projects you're doing? You want them to know about anything? Just
my political rabble rousing, my typical memeing.
There you go. You can find that on his Facebook page. You don't
Facebook all over, everywhere.
You're not really because you said you were doing a lot of shit on Twitter back in the day.
Oh yeah.
You don't fuck around with that as much anymore.
They got, you know what? Everything, they got so much more restrictive about everything.
Yeah.
So all my bots got banned. They put me out of business.
You heard it here, folks.
My Reddit bot got.
He got caught. He got busted.
Got silenced.
They're like, bro. They send him a few messages.
Pretty much.
No response.
Pretty much.
Busted.
Pretty much. Yeah. So now I have to do it manually. You know what I mean, on Facebook. But they can't stop that. So they can't stop the hustle. That's true, man. So I just try to say, because they'll start to ban a lot now with fake news. So I just try not to even go if it's about some of the fake news stuff. I'm like, I'm not even gonna mess with it. So I try to stay pretty much in the box, But yeah, I can't be using my bots anymore. They caught on pretty quick.
And they're getting a little bit better too. Unfortunately, technology gets so much more faster than what we can keep up with.
For sure. Dude, when I built that, I don't know, 2018 or whatever, it was cutting edge for sure, you know what I mean? And very few restrictions. But now, if you have a Twitter account and you want to create a bot, you have to fill out this form, right? It's this is what I want to do with it. This is how I'm going to use it. And then explain to them how you're going to use it, what you're going to do it for, every step of your bot. Then it gets emailed to Twitter, for example, and then they check everything. And then
to see if it's going to do all the stuff it says.
And every time I've done it, I've just been no.
Really?
It's every time, 3 times I've tried to do it. I'm I just want to share news, about New Mexico, and no big deal. And they're just no.
Damn.
So, and then Facebook is about to do some new rules the month before the election, and then the 5 days before, they're not allowing any new advertisement or something like that. So they're going to put a lot more restrictions, and then you have to verify your identity if you want to advertise in the political realm at all. So you have to send in your ID and your mailing address, and then they'll send you a code, or they'll mail you something, and then you input the code. Whereas before, you could just be I want to spend $1,000 on this, and they'll be all right, whatever.
Yeah, right. Sponsored it and everything.
Yeah, and now it shows who paid for it,
where it came from, stuff like that.
And then they'll be this page is managed from the United States, but they do eventually are going to just put who is doing it and everything. So, but
something to look forward to, guys. What's up, Patrick? Thank you for joining. He just said no comment, ? Yeah, you're the first comment. You did good, man. Maurice, censorship at its finest, violating the First Amendment.
See? So it should either be, and you know what? Twitter used to be way more, you could just say anything and whatever, you know what I mean?
What's up, Patrick?
But even they're starting to lock it down.
Yeah.
So they make the new ones like Parler. Have you heard of Parler?
I have not. So that's a new social media thing?
It's basically like designed for conservatives who are tired or getting kicked out of Facebook. Like, do you know what QAnon is? Do you follow that?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No. Is that a conservative thing?
Oh my gosh. Have you ever seen the people with a giant Q or anything like that? Or like a Q and an American flag?
I don't think so.
Okay, bro. QAnon is a theory, and a lot of people call it a conspiracy theory, that there is a person named Q working inside the government, and basically everyone says it's Donald Trump, and he's fighting like human trafficking and child exploitation, and it's a huge thing online. It was like super hard right for a while. See, look, QAnon wants a fringe conspiracy theory. So basically, this is now mainstream, and it was. Look, see, there's QAnon Wikipedia, but it basically is this giant conspiracy theory that's been since like before Donald Trump was elected president.
Okay.
And now it's getting to be where it's like basically mainstream now. It's like one of the biggest movements or whatever.
Interesting.
So
QAnon?
QAnon. I can't believe you never heard of it.
No, I haven't. That's crazy. It's weird.
It's super. Probably your listeners have.
Any of you guys heard of QAnon? Just let me know in the comment section. Let us know in the comment section. But I mean, whatever. This world is what it is. We're always discovering new things in science. We're always finding out new ways to hate the world. So,
hate the world.
Yeah, there's always weird things happening.
So there's a lot of different things happening for sure.
But it's always a great time to live because it's the only life you get to live, unless you believe in simulation or anything like that.
What do you believe in? On hell?
I believe in the simulation.
Oh,
I don't even know what's going on in the world right now. I take mushrooms and I totally denounce my religion and shit. So I don't know. I really don't know. Like, there's so many questions that get like answered and so many questions that come up daily that freak me out. So the fact that I'm here on this earth is an accomplishment on its own, and that I'm finding out what's on this earth is amazing.
Yeah, how come you don't talk about any of this in your comedy?
What do you mean?
On hell.
Like, oh, guys, I'm so scared about the world.
I'm scared, guys. I'm scared.
That's pretty much what I'm saying, is that I'm scared.
Start with that. Just start with that.
Hey, guys, I'm so scared.
I'm so scared. Is anyone else scared?
That's it.
Oh my god!
Because there are people that do that too.
Shout out to Alex G.
Right? Oh man, where's he at in this pandemic? Right?
Slicing meat or what? What did he do?
I think he was like a chef or a cook at some restaurant.
Yeah.
But then he's like a couple weeks before, he's like, I quit that job. Or
now I'm hopeless. I quit that job and now I'm just full time. At home.
Maurice
which is outside
says, what was it called? QAnon?
Yeah.
Is a far right conspiracy theory alleging that a cabal. I hate you.
Dude, I feel bad.
Remember we've already been over this fucking dyslexia.
Oh shit! Now I feel
of Satan
bad
worshiping. Wait, I'm glad that you knew the word though. That's amazing, dude. Cable, and you were like, I know exactly what he's fucking saying.
This is the Wikipedia. I read this one.
Worship pedophiles running a global child sex trafficking ring and plotting against Donald Trump, who is battling them.
Yeah, Donald Trump is cute.
Leading to a day of reckoning involving the mass arrests of journalists and politics.
You haven't heard of it.
Yeah, basically New World Order. Question mark. Laugh out loud. Maurice, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Maurice, for coming in.
So yeah, do you think that's a thing? Is that happening? I think the New World Order has always been here, though. Like we've always been we've had to have always been influenced by bigger corporations that own us. Like, okay, I honestly think Amazon does have a niche in what goes on in politics because they have so much money to influence just if they're running. So what's not to say here is that $50 billion. Just remember that little favor that I need when you are president or when you are chairman or when you are senator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $50 billion is no. It's like the president's like $1 billion. So definitely they could. And Apple's like $1 trillion company.
I feel like they have, and they do kind of, in a sense, do.
Well,
go ahead.
Another conspiracy theory is all about George Soros and how much he influences the elections.
He does.
With his money.
I think he would have to.
And I think too, and like the Koch brothers are the far right libertarian version of that. But also, I think that like
everybody takes a niche of it, though.
And what do you think the solution would be to make it so that way they would be impossible for them? You know what I mean? To spend any money, or they were only allowed to be able to spend like $2,800. They should be able to, you know what I mean?
Influence it
more if they have that money. You know what I mean? And then, like for example. The billionaire, Michael Bloomberg, he ran for president, and he spent like $500 million of his own money. So it's like, all right, well, if you want to spend that money, then you should be able to. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be any like restrictions against that. And then, kind of unexpectedly, he pretty much like totally fell on his face. You know what I mean? Whereas some people thought maybe he was gonna win. They're like, oh my God, this dude's putting in $500 million.
He has all his own money to do whatever he wants to politically.
Right. Like, and he was all paying people to make memes and stuff. Did you get paid by Michael Bloomberg?
That would be dope.
To make a meme?
Or even just to like promote him on this channel.
Michael Bloomberg. Dude, I'm surprised you don't have sponsors on this thing yet.
No, we're working towards that. We're getting some shit going. Maybe we'll get sponsored here soon.
I saw you had Zach on.
Yeah, Zach Abeda was on Thursday. Yeah, it was fun. He's a good guy. Mm-hmm. Gets his shit going.
Seems like everything's getting moving again, though.
Hopefully,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the comedy world for sure.
Because he was talking about he did some shows up in Denver and shit. So,
did he?
Like I said, there's something going on somewhere else. It's just not happening here yet. So,
well, maybe in like 5 years. Here.
Maurice says it's like how Obama had 1 million coming into office and now is worth more than 2 million. He got bought.
And now and see, talking about like he runs a production company that makes movies for Netflix. So think about like how many people are gonna see that. So then his thought, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his political influence
goes way more, and people aren't watching it like, oh, what does the president have to say? They're watching it like entertainment.
Yeah. Like
for example, there was this one documentary about like a glass factory. I can't even remember what it was called. Maybe The Glass Factory. But it was basically, I think I talked to you about this last time I was here too.
Can't remember. But.
Yeah. Basically, like a Chinese company bought an American factory and they manufacture glass. And at first, the movie's all like super, everybody's happy because they get a job or, a lot of jobs. And then there's like, they named the road after the company. And it's like the Chinese and the Americans are all happy together. And, this rich Chinese person invests like billions in it or 100 million, whatever, in it to make the factory all new. And then it just kind of like goes along and shows the culture clash pretty much. And then it's also like pretty dangerous them manufacturing the glass. And so like some people get hurt a lot. And then the Chinese just expect people to work way more or like even more dangerously than the Americans are used to. And so it's just like this huge culture clash. And it was a pretty interesting documentary, but it was put out by Obama. So there definitely was like a message behind the whole thing. You know what I mean? And actually it's interesting too, because the very last scene of the movie is this like billionaire Chinese person who's the owner of like the glass company. And he's like a billionaire driving around his childhood village in China that's all poor. And he's like asking if he made the right decision to like grow this $1 billion company. He's like, I think it was better when I was a child and playing with frogs,
Yeah.
So
More money, more problems.
more money, more problems, for sure.
Yeah. I hear that quote all the time. I'm just like, it kind of makes sense sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So when are you going to have me back?
Niko, when do you want to come back? After you're a graduate, after you're a doctor in fucking earth science?
15 years, and then we'll talk about rocks.
Dude, I will freak out. You have a beard. You're fucking all long hair.
I'll be smoking a pipe, a tobacco pipe.
You have an accent.
I'll have a staff.
Speak more Hispanic. I think it'll be dope. No, man, we'll do another one whenever. Just
right before the election, and then right after. So we'll make predictions. We'll lay it out.
Okay.
And then we'll see it.
Okay, we'll do that.
We'll see what happens.
We could even do it like the day before the election, or even, well, it depends. When's the election day?
November 3rd.
And what day is that land on?
Like a Tuesday?
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably do something then.
We could talk smack.
Right.
While people are voting.
We'll have some drinks and stuff.
Alive.
Get some things going.
So tune in. That'll be Niko 4.0.
Niko will be on again, guys. You guys know where to find him. Again, no plugs or anything. You don't want them to find you? Chicano conservative? Something going on?
Yeah, Chicano. Oh, there we go. Check me out on the Chicano conservative. Check me out on Facebook, Joaquin Roybal. But I'm calling out a politician on the Chicano conservative.
Okay.
Someone jacked my meme. Alexis Johnson for Congress jacked my memes. And so I have it all written out, laid out, screenshots, everything. So check it out.
Wow. Go check that out, guys.
There's about to be some drama. It just dropped this afternoon on my way over here. I was excited about it. So check that out. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
And you know what's crazy about Facebook is that people always get in fights on Facebook. So
you got to, dude.
That's where
a public forum, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, let's debate it out.
Let me just talk for fucking no 200 characters.
No, yeah, let me get it all out there on video. Everything.
Everything you want to hear, guys. You guys are awesome. Give it up for Niko, guys. Niko's awesome. We're here again.
Thank you.
Dude, you guys know what's up. Follow me anywhere social media-wise.
On hell.
MuseMe TV. Also, just look me up. Just Google MuseMe TV. I swear you'll find something. I'm out there, guys. Be safe. We'll have some more views, some more stuff coming up soon. Be kind to each other. Hippie stuff. Yeah. Laters, guys.
Stay home. Stay safe.